Man, thank goodness Monday is a holiday because this one's going to require some sleep. After ND comes all the way back to tie it at 24, it's Carter Davis from 47, giving the Canes the lead once again, 27-24. The Irish, down to their last gasp. Can't get a playoff. Now got to get back to the line, no timeouts. Some celebration in order, but would they get one more play? Rush into the line. Going to take a real miracle at this point, but Notre Dame won't even get a playoff. 27-24 is your final. The Miami Hurricanes pull off the upset and collect their first top 10 win since 2017. Down go the Irish here in week one with a questionable game plan, the execution not to match. This was not reminiscent of a team that lost in the title game a year ago. Instead, they fall to Miami in week one. Joe Musso and Emory Hunt here to explore all angles of this one, Emory, and let's just start at that end scene and work backwards. The rush group for Miami sort of starts this game with a bang and finishes it just like that as well.
I love how Ruben Bane and Hakee Mesador decided, hey, this is going to be our game defensively, and we're going to win this one for the University of Miami, because that was the biggest question all last season. You had great offense, great quarterback, #1 overall pick, but everyone talked about the defense not being able to get a stop or win these tight games or get key stops in these tight games. And here on the first game of the season, opening night for Miami, they go out there against a very good team, national runner-up in Notre Dame, and get key defensive stops, key defensive turnovers, make plays that were theirs to be made. Great job out of Canes defense.
Outside of like a 6-minute portion of the fourth quarter here when ND clawed their way back into this game with a couple scores, this was dominant, the performance by Miami. Both sides of the ball, time of possession, some of that due to the inefficiencies offensively for Notre Dame. But I want to continue to give flowers here to the Hurricanes offensively with Carson Beck, the prize transfer, if you will, coming over and orchestrating this offense. Didn't have to do everything that he's going to have to do throughout the remainder of this season, but also didn't make the fatal mistake in this game that maybe we've come to expect from him. How do you assess his play?
I think his play was decent. I would say average play, but that's okay. That's what was necessary for them to win the game. And Miami took what Notre Dame gave them. If it was in the flats on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, he hit the flats. He didn't try to force the football. Now, granted, you got great play from Miami true freshman wide receiver Malachi Tony, 6 receptions, 82 yards, a touchdown, averaged 13.7 yards a catch. You see that touchdown right there. We worked back to help out Carson Beck. And on this play here, you see the receiver helping out Carson Beck. So those 2 touchdown passes were more the receiver than a quarterback. But for Carson Beck, he didn't make the costly mistake. He didn't turn the ball over. He played within the confines of the offense. Short, quick passes, whatever was there, he was taking it. Didn't press, didn't rush, didn't force the ball, didn't take some ill-advised sacks. If the pressure got to him, he just conceded, didn't try to make a bad play worse. So I thought it was a solid game. You give him average, which is great for this game because the defense really stepped up.
Emory, on Notre Dame, when I think of Notre Dame football under Marcus Freeman, I think of sure tackling, I think of offensive line play, I think of a run-first approach no matter who's playing quarterback. We really saw the antithesis of all of those ideas in this game. Perimeter screen, quick passing. Jeremiyah Love not getting his touches early in this game, and once he did, you saw why he should have. What do you make of the game plan here? You had 5 months to put together this call sheet, and that's what you got out of the Irish offense.
You didn't come in and you came in thinking plays and not players. You have 2 of the best running backs in the country. You have Jadarian Price, you have Jeremiyah Love. And Jadarian Price was in the witness protection program in the second half. Like, where was he? He was touching the ball. He was toting the rock, too, and did a great job. I just felt like Miami out Notre Dame in this ball game. They were more physical on offense. They were more physical on defense in the open field. And when you have 2 outstanding tailbacks in this version of college football and you don't lean on them, you decide to get everyone else involved instead of your key playmakers, that's a problem. That's why you lost the game. You didn't even get a chance for Love to get into that running back groove where you're feeding him a couple of carries in a row. Price got a couple of carries in a row. You saw him pop a few runs, and then you went non-existent in the second half with both guys. I just thought that was a miss for Notre Dame. Mike Denbrock really left his best players out to dry, hang out to dry, because he didn't utilize those guys against this Miami football team.
Small sample size with the first game of the season here, but do you think that that's reflective of the talent group around these star players, or do you think that's reflective of the way they feel about their offensive linemen up front, or is this just an offense that was unable to get into their flow on this night?
I feel like if you are kind of concerned about your offensive line, the best thing to do is to not throw the football a lot of times or drop back there often. The best thing to do is to get them going downhill to establish that physicality at the point of attack, because now if you're able to do that early in the game, you won't see what we saw to end the game. You would have calmed those guys coming off the edge quickly because they would have been so tired of stopping the run, trying to get off blocks, trying to fight through double teams. You help them out by keeping them fresh for the duration of the ball game. So now when you need them to really hold their own, they're just flying up the field because you didn't put that pounding on them throughout the course of that game.
10 totes for 33 yards on the ground for Love, the star running back. Another 4 receptions. Wanted to get him involved in that pass game, but it seemed like an offensive coordinator reluctant to run it between the tackles in the early onset of this game. They play chase and get away from it further down the stretch. Again, 27-24 your final here as the Miami Hurricanes collect their first top 10 victory since 2017. It was the Irish then, it's the Irish now. What do you take away from this confidence-wise if you're Miami? It's the biggest one on the schedule. You got it circled all offseason, and you perform like this.
How do you handle success if you're Miami? Because we know next week they have Bethune-Cookman, and then after that they have South Florida. That's going to be a physical test for them. So Miami, great win tonight. You did it against a top 10 opponent, a very physical opponent. You out-physicaled Notre Dame. Can you handle success? Because you just can only expect the offense to be a little bit better next week, to get a little bit more, fluid in terms of running the football. You'll probably be a little bit more able to throw the football around the yard, considering the weather that we saw tonight was raining. So maybe that kind of calmed down the passing game, the vertical passing game. But you like what you saw from Malachi Tony. You like what you saw from Carson Beck in terms of managing the game. This was the game he had to play to win. And also you like the fact that your defense pinned their ears back and got after it. So if you can handle success, that's usually been Miami's issue recently, how they handle success. If they can't handle success next week or the week after, really against South Florida, then it's going to be the same old Hurricanes once again.
Assessing the road ahead there for Miami. As for the Irish, remember a year ago, it's a loss to NIU and still through that college football playoff, a trip to the eventual national title game. This is a different schedule. This was the resume builder. This opportunity against Miami was the best opportunity on their schedule to build out that resume. How much of a concern is this to move forward off of this loss? Not to suggest that other losses await in the near-term future, but looking at it, you got a number next to A&M coming up on September 13th, so forget licking the wounds. You got to get back to work, but beyond that, all games that you will likely be favored in depending on how this season plays out. How big of a loss is this when you look at it in the grand scheme of the schedule for the Irish?
It's a big loss because that's one you were banking on, because you're right, you have A&M next. Then you have who I think is QB1 in this draft class, Taylor Green, right there on the road at Arkansas. You have Boise that's going to be scrappy, and USC looks to be back a little bit, and Navy is going to be ranked, and you know how difficult that is, even though they beat them last year. So you needed to get Miami. You had to get that win because this schedule, like you said, Joe, is not like last year's schedule. You had a couple of games and you kind of hope some of these teams start to catch fire and get ranked by the time you get them, because now when you think about these teams in these bigger conferences, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, you may have multiple teams. Now you're fighting the uphill battle if you're Notre Dame, because you just gave Miami the leg up by saying, hey, we beat a top 10 ranked Notre Dame. They lost to us, and if it came down to you or a 9-3 SEC team or a 9-3 Big Ten team, because you lost this game, you're on the outside looking in.
There's going to be some shuffling in that upcoming AP poll, and in this case, it's alphabet altering, because now you put the U out in front of ND. Emory Hunt, appreciation.
What?
You're welcome.
Better do the pro, man. I just caught that reference.
Let's take a look at the schedule here. All numbers, forget the letters. It's a 6 next to Notre Dame for now. That'll be adjusted off this loss against number 10 Miami, who will likely climb. Emory pointed out Bethune-Cookman coming up. Don't be reading the press clippings. Got football to play. You want to be ramping up to that meeting with Florida on September 20th.
South Florida going to be ranked too.
South Florida. We're going to keep it Florida here as Miami goes South Florida, and then a game against Florida State that will also be ranked the next time we check.